Thanks a lot. We have a fantastic panel, two super HR directors and two super entrepreneurs dealing with the future of work. So, guys, just a show of hands. Who around here is an entrepreneur or is working within a startup?
Wow.
Okay. Who around here is working for a multinational? Okay. The other day, I heard something. AI is giving superpowers to the small guys. That means startups. That means employees to do great things. So we will discover a bit more about how your work, our work, is going to be changing over the coming few years. So listen, guys. First is, I know that there's a lot of chatter outside about AI and so forth, but internally, how are you guys tackling the issue? How are you organizing yourself in order to discover? I guess that there's a discovery path about AI in your organizations. Is it more driven by HR? Is it more driven by IT, cross-functional teams, so forth? Javier, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So actually, we are dealing with this from two ends. Basically, from a client perspective, having the tech side, dealing with that, building, shaping solutions, software, so that our clients' needs can be addressed. And there's a second end where HR, ourselves, are dealing with that and discovering ways in order not just to become much more efficient. So this is for sure, this will happen. But guys, a chatbot is not going to be taking our jobs. It will fully shape it or refurbish or reinvent it. But chatbots are not going to be replacing us. What they are going to bring, or what they are pushing us to do, is basically, from an HR perspective, building a much more relevant, tailor-made employee experience for each and every employee we are hiring in our company. So basically, we are dealing with that from these both ends, and I'm sure the rest of the crew will be having an opinion around that.
Excellent. How are you guys tackling the issue internally in order to know your direction?
Yeah, in our case, first thing we did was to look for external kind of advice in order to know what we needed to do. I tried speaking to a lot of people, even at the board level. We had the discussion, and what I realized is that no one really knows, right, how we need to be using AI internally in our organization. So one thing we did was we did a management workshop internally, and basically there we figure out ideas in terms of what we can be doing in two blocks. One of them is what we can do internally in order to improve how we do things. Second is how we can improve our value proposition and what we offer to our clients, right? So out of that, internally, we had several ideas, but what we have decided is we want to let the employees explore. So we're going to build an employee-led committee around AI, where we want them to actually figure out what kind of tools we can be using. We're going to build some specific times in the week that they can book in order to look for AI solutions and stuff like that, so they can promote these kind of internal ideas. And for the value proposition, we're going to do a hackathon with product and technology in order to see what we can do and implement.
Hackathon, lots of pizza and long nights, thinking about AI. Excellent, excellent. So, Gonzalo, before you were telling me actually that you guys, with your students, very interested in IT, you're actually setting up something particular about how you're tackling that.
Yeah, so we're a school, a leading tech education school. So just for context, so we have a bunch of students.
Please, come in, there are some seats here.
And so in terms of how we're tackling, very similar to Borja, a little bit top-down and bottom-up. Top-down, I think it's maybe especially interesting because we are moving in two directions. First, we're trying to position Iron Hack as an AI-first school. So we're launching within the next weeks a bunch of courses tackling different types of jobs that we think are going to be or are already like quite relevant. Then we're introducing AI in our existing courses. So web dev, UX, UI, data analytics, right? There's all kinds of applications. So we're iterating the curriculum and trying to generate, thirdly, like a community around it, right? And then on the value proposition side for our students, we're figuring out, we call it NEMO, like the fish in the film. It stands for New Educational Model. And basically what we're trying to do is empower, like raise the level of our students, build a co-pilot, right, that helps the student navigate through pretty complex learning paths. And what Oriol was referring to is that we are now opening the gates for our students to ChatGPT, because we're seeing some cases that instances in which students were using it wrong. They were trying to, cheat, basically, right? They were trying to solve the labs with ChatGPT. Everybody was downloaded and had the paying version, but the grades were going down, right? The output was going down, which is a little bit counterintuitive. So what we're doing, we build already and deployed an instance of ChatGPT, more guided, and gathering data and figuring out, how to best support our students with ChatGPT. So it's a little bit more of a controlled environment. And the data that is coming out, it's super, super interesting. And we're using that to retrofit and iterate our curriculum as well. So early days, but super interesting.
Fantastic. And Camille, how are you organizing yourself to actually tackle this point within Telefónica Tech?
Well, first of all, Telefónica Tech is a group of 6,000 professionals in tech. And those people like to play, right? I mean, they are very smart and they like to play. So, I mean, like Javier said, so we are tackling it from two sides. One is that we sell solution of AI to our clients. And then internally, I think there are like three aspects that we are looking at. One is opportunity. So that means how we can really use this opportunity. So we are doing workshops for our employees so they understand how can actually improve their productivity on the tasks they do. From a responsibility perspective, so that means what's the playground, no? Like how can we mark the playground for our employees so they feel safe there? We even have a chief responsible AI officer, so that's a role that actually is looking at that, working closely, for example, with compliance. And then from the security perspective, so that means everything that is happening in that space has to be secure, right? So we're just making sure that all the IT solution behind have some part of cybersecurity there.
Excellent. And because just what Borja was mentioning was a bit of sort of democratization of the usage. I mean, you corporates, are you going on that path as well, sort of allowing people, and sorry, I say corporates not in a very positive way, by the way, but meaning sort of to what extent are you empowering your people to actually sort of tackle that from a more sort of semi-autonomous, democratized way?
Well,
that's a bit of a controversial question, I know, but...
like I said, I mean, we need to mark the playground.
Yes.
I mean, and the size of the playground is up to us to decide.
I know.
Okay. But I would say that, not everything can happen, no? Because we have clients, we have stakeholders, we have responsibility. Yes. So we are just about to approve what we call the regulation or guideline on the group level, which will actually help employees to understand what they can or what they shouldn't do. And it will talk about ethics, it will talk about transparency, it will talk about all these things that I think many of us are now asking ourselves, like, with this new reality, what can I do or what can I do, right?
Yeah. In our case, this is gonna sound weird, and it's not the sort of image we are portraying across the marketplace. But innovation, creativity is in the core of everything we do. Even though we are KPMG, an old consultancy, old-fashioned consultancy firm, but technology is there, creativity is there, innovation is there, not just from a purely collective perspective or business perspective or corporate, but also individually. So we are letting our crew play with that, experiencing what kind of benefits artificial intelligence can bring into the equation. And actually, we are on a try and testing period. I mean, seeing or checking what is flying, what is not, and whenever something flies, we have at least we have the opportunity, we have the power and the muscle in order to create a test on that so that it can be scaled up at a bigger stand. So basically, this is the way we are dealing with that. And some things fly, some others don't.
Is it also fair to say that when you're dealing with 6,000 employees, I think you have maybe 5,000 or something, maybe governance comes first, and whilst when you are dealing with 100 and something, probably you can sort of leave people playing a bit more? I mean, what's your take on that one? On sort of, empowering the people to play around with.
Yeah, I think as always, like a startup can go faster in some aspects, and it's because we don't have that much compliance and paperwork. So in our case, we don't really care if someone is using AI to improve their jobs, and actually we want to promote that. We're building even AI awards. We haven't just communicated this. I'm having
Okay, that's a first. That's a first.
I'm having some employees here, so I know it's something is coming, but we're going to communicate this in the next few days because we really want to promote this internal innovation and kind of testing. I believe in other kind of ecosystems, you need to build a bit more controlled kind of sandbox, probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
Excellent. What's your take on what are the either the functions or the tasks that you think are going to benefit more from AI? Okay, because actually with Camilo we were having before the debate between sort of job positions and tasks, no, where this is going to impact. Why don't you start on that reflection?
Well, I think you said it, no? I mean, at the moment, we are not looking at jobs as such. I think we are looking more at tasks, like what type of task can be automated. And it's not new. I mean, the digital revolution has started not in November when ChatGPT came, no? I mean, that started much further back in the history. So what we are looking is what type of task, like the routine task, will be automated so that the people will be allowed to dedicate themselves to the joy of creation, like Satya Nadella said, no? I mean, the joy of creation. So that's much better there. And what we know that there might be some jobs, for example, where you have an employee contact center, no? And we are seeing that we can actually put some machines that they will be answering some of the questions that the people are asking about how many days I can take when I'm a father, how many days I can take where I'm moving. You don't need a person to do that. I mean, that's probably a job, not a task. Yeah.
Interesting. How about you guys? How about you?
So for us, tasks is for sure a given, and that's happening at a very fast pace. But we're actually seeing tremendous gains in terms of productivity for certain roles, and we're going to stop hiring, and it's going to become like 10x more. It's already become 10x more efficient. One good example is content generation for curriculum, and that before was maybe 3 hours of content generation per 1 hour of content instruction. So it was pretty intensive, and you need the expert and whatnot in order also to give to provide the high-level proposals for companies and whatnot. It was very, very intensive, required very a massive heavy lift. Now we're seeing like a tenth of the cost to develop that content, right? So it becomes all about how do you elevate, as I said before, no, the output.
And
right?
could it be content also for marketing purposes, for instance?
For sure, SEO, it's massive, and related to like regulation right now, it's like who knows where this is going to land. So we are trying to push people, and say, listen, let's break things, and then we can always kind of evaluate the impact later. But right now, like SEO, there's a lot going on for content, for content for instructor as well, even for the interaction with the students, right? The instructor role, teaching assistant role, we have a ratio, right, that it's pretty intensive in people. So how do you evolve that from maybe more lecture-based, right, one to many, to more like mentor-based and individualized learning paths with the support, right? So I think the opportunities are massive, and we're seeing already tremendous gains in productivity and roles that are going to be less needed, but maybe enhanced. And as you said, like joy of creation, they're going to be, I think, a lot more fun.
Excellent.
Less repetitive.
I think engineering is another big department.
So engineers that cheat on code, no? Like
Exactly.
what Alan was saying, no? Watch out.
Productivity, well, it's estimated that productivity can increase between 30 and 40%. Well, who made that number, right? But I believe that efficiency can increase a lot because at the end of the day, just ChatGPT can write code for you. Of course, you need to control that and you need to supervise that for sure. But I believe that productivity will increase a lot. And for example, I don't know, things that can happen that we might be thinking that maybe we arrive to a point where this happens very soon is now for a squad, you need a product manager, data analytics, and then you need 5-6 engineers. Maybe you can do those squads with 2 engineers. And so you can have so many more squads, and you can work in so many more verticals in parallel, and you can go much faster in your innovation and your product development, right? So
yeah, actually, building on what Gonzalo has just mentioned, I mean, AI is putting in the hands of each and every employee the ability to experience a lifelong learning path. I mean, 24/7, opened, no teachers to whom you need to reach out through the telephone or whatever. It is just about yourself, your tools, and you can explore an endless amount of knowledge sharing, learning, and whatever. So basically, it's fully rebuilding the way capabilities are going to be developed. It's fully rebuilding the way employees are going to be getting their earnings, and it's fun because we both ends are representing big corporate companies and so on. And actually, we have been knowing each other for years. And Gonzalo is the first time I get to know him, but I know some friends and colleagues of his. So basically, it's fun the way we big companies are dealing with and exploring new ways of approaching and building relevant employee experience for our employees. And this is basically dealing with this kind of people that are in the basis of the IA exploitation. So I love this kind of ecosystem these technologies are bringing into the table.
Who is recruiting now? Who is recruiting? Who is recruiting? Who is hiring? Who is hiring? Excellent, excellent. Okay, so how do you hire in this new context? So have you seen, guys, sort of any changes in the way or in the skills that you would like to have? Given the fact that we have sort of artificial intelligence, and I'm not talking just about sort of the profiles. You actually mentioned also, Gonzalo, sort of that you may want to hire more of some and maybe less of someone, but how hiring may change over the next couple of years?
Actually, I would also launch another question. When was the last time you went through a full resume? I can't even remember. Actually, we are hiring capabilities. We are looking for a certain set of skills or whatever. Resumes are not going to be read in the way they used to be some years ago. Actually, we are now dealing with candidate/company cultures match the way some other companies like, Mythic is doing in a different way of action. So basically,
So you do resumes like Mythic? Wow. Joking.
I know that it sounds sexy.
Sounds sexy.
Yeah, and it is. But basically, it's about that. It's about, through AI, you have the opportunity to identify and to forecast the degree of match the candidate has with the company who's hiring. So basically, this is a massive tool that has to be dealt and handled with full responsibility and ethics. So this is the way we are dealing with the recruitment side.
And in your case, you are sort of those matching. Are you developing those internal capabilities of the matching, or are you taking sort of some external software or things?
Actually, we are delivering the tool. We are delivering the engineering behind this sort of new recruitment. And from a purely learning perspective, we are also building on that capabilities through IA. So basically, trying to make these two ends converge.
Very interesting. So matching. Any other insights onto recruiting?
It's quite similar, I think, like in KPMG, but I will give you an example of what we actually do for clients, in that space, because it's quite relevant also for other companies or public administration. Because we have a project with different public administration, with the unemployment offices, where we help them to really start looking at skills and not so much on the CV through a machine, right? So when they're an unemployed person, previously somebody was looking in the CV and was thinking like, how can I match it to my vacancies? At the moment, what we do with the matching, we are actually asking the person different questions that helps you to profile the person based on his or her skills, and then match it with the vacancy, or recommend to the person the upskilling or reskilling that person should do to be able to do that. So those are real projects that are already happening. So it's on the internal level, but also on the external level in the area of recruitment.
And for high growth companies like you guys, on the intake of new employees, are you thinking about sort of requiring specific things or abilities, or even sort of ability to learn, or curiosity? What is it changing anything?
There's one thing, for example, that we have already changed, which is we were giving candidates a challenge that they could fill in at home, and then they could come back and present it to us. So basically, with ChatGPT, we stopped that, right? So now we're doing real-time kind of challenges, which is kind of allow us to see the real capabilities real-time, right? Because otherwise, you don't know who did that. So that's just an anecdote that we have changed. In terms of profiles that we look for, I think we need to be careful with what's being kind of heard. So for example, prompt engineering, right? Now everyone is like, maybe I need prompt engineering. and I think we need to be careful because, for example, prompt engineering is already obsolete almost, like with GPT-4. You don't need to kind of the specific inputs you need to give to the AI are not anymore that specific, right? And you can get a very good answer. So prompt engineering is obsolete in 2 months. So somehow we need to be careful with those types of profiles. For me, kind of problem solving will continue being the top skill that you need to look for in candidates, because at the end of the day, that's the most powerful one. And especially with AI, if the AI is the one that is going to be solving a lot of problems, you need someone that can actually frame those problems very well and identify those problems, right?
Yeah, so I agree with Borja on the hype of certain roles and the speed this is going to go at. So I think it's a little bit wait and see and stay close to just figuring out how kind of a certain squad is going to evolve for tech. That's going to be important, I think, and how you can leverage and how certain roles are going to evolve also. No? So you might see easier way to do machine learning, to analyze more data. So it's going to change, but still I think it's super early, at least from our end. We don't have a clear vision, but we're staying close to it. In terms of recruiting, we help some of the biggest companies like attract talent, right? Our vision has been from the beginning, skill-based and building data-rich profiles, so that you can give, because we have a lot of data points, not only in the process, but also in the education, right? So that ends up building a pretty comprehensive profile of the student. But applying AI, I haven't seen, I'm super glad to talk to you guys. I haven't seen anything meaningful. There's a lot of talk about it. I invested in a company that does a little bit like AI recruiting, a French one, but I haven't seen meaningful differences, right, from what we're doing, which is, skills assessment, like 1.0, let's say, right?
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
no, just follow. I mean,
Yeah.
because I was just talking about recruitment. There is another thing that is happening, and I don't know if we realize that, but the entry bar for certain positions is just going very low now. Because, and let me give you an example, okay? Let's say we have a coder that has 5 years experience. We pay him X, okay? This person had to really learn a lot to be a good coder, good software developer. But now somebody with 1 year experience with AI help will probably be equally productive or equally efficient as that person with the 5 years. So the pressure on wages and the pressure on the entry-level requirements has been actually lowered for some roles. So I think that's an interesting point, because, and I've read it last week, that people are actually saying it will not be the AI that will take your job. It will be a person with AI that will take your job, right? So those of you who are afraid of your job, just start using AI, because that's basically the recommendation.
But actually, I heard also the other argument, the other side of the argument, saying, well, I mean, those senior engineers, okay, they may not need as many analysts, because maybe AI may take over the more manual kind of sort of tasks of analysts. Any views on that? Because, I mean, both are complementary, and I guess that we are, as Gonzalo was saying, we're on a discovery path, no?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Any views or anything that?
So I think it's going to depend on the company. We're seeing very different talent attraction strategies, right? So people that are able to get those senior top 10%, right, or companies that are able to pay for that, then you're in a great spot. But there's other companies, right, that I think the strategy that they're using, and we really promote this, and we think it's smart, is kind of longer term planning, right, getting top 10% and building learning paths for them, right? So I think that's going to be a very interesting strategy, and the learning curve can be really shortened with this type of tools, right? So there's certain companies that would never dream with attracted top 15% talent of seniors, but are going to be able to do that, at a lower like more juniors, and then accelerate their paths, right? So I think it's going to be, I think there's room for different kinds of tactics and strategies here.
Yeah, actually, from a purely consultancy perspective, this is forcing us to elevate the bar, to high the bar. Actually, whenever we land in a client, there's a usual question raised: do you guys need so many juniors in order to deliver all the insights building, all the research activity and so on? Can this be done through IA? And it's actually a very fair question, something ourselves are forcing us to put in the hands of IA, actually removing that side of the career path and finding ways to give a purpose to all the juniors, all the graduates, actually getting their capabilities and abilities strengthened in the value-adding side of the chain. not just delivering all this boring stuff such as research, such as matching audit spreadsheets or whatever. So basically this will be managed, that this will run through IA in not just years, but in some months. What is going to lead us, or what is going to lead, is basically getting the bar elevated in the strategic side of the consultancy work, getting closer to the client, be much more a partner of them, rather than undertaking these activities through X amount of juniors or graduates or seniors. That is actually
excellent. We just have 4 minutes. Something that there has been a lot of chat in the media is governance. Okay, so how are we thinking about sort of governance, about responsible AI and so forth, and about potentially sort of mitigating some side effects that could AI have for the organizations and for society? How are you thinking within your organizations about that? Okay, I'm obviously this is a very much evolving theme for everybody, no? Any views?
We are dealing with that in the same way we used to deal with social media management or social media toolkit. Basically, asking, encouraging people to give it a ethical, responsible usage. So basically, encouraging them to consider that whenever they are exploring or using an AI tool, they are representing not just themselves, but also the company. Whichever opinion, whichever information, whichever data is going to be shared, has to be made. Has to be double checked that is compliant with our own policies. So basically, encourage them to put some common sense in the way they deliver or they explore AI tools.
In our case, well, internally we don't do nothing in terms of governance. We want to give freedom. Of course, we're a startup, so it's much easier. But I can speak from what I think from a government perspective. Now the AI Act happened in Europe, and we're trying to regulate this. Already we're having some things that are prohibited. And I understand this, and I think it's necessary. At the same time, somehow, I feel like we might be blocking innovation a bit, and that concerns me, because there is a sandbox that now you can go into the sandbox, but applying to a sandbox can take maybe 2 years, because we all know how sandbox work. So that concerns me a bit, right? And there are other countries like Japan, for example, they are giving freedom in terms of copyright. For example, you can use anything that is available, and that's free for using with AI and the learning algorithms. So it's going to be very interesting. I think governments are in a very hard position right now, because at the one hand, it's necessary to put this kind of fairness in the AI, but on the other hand, you can lay behind, right, in terms of innovation. So it's a difficult one.
Tension. Any views from your side?
No, I think I already said it at the beginning. It's just to mark the playground and mark the rules, and it's not something bad. Sometimes I feel like governance looks like something. No, actually people are asking for that to feel safe. Like what can I do? And they're asking us, like, can I use this? Can I use that? So we just want. It doesn't stop their flexibility or progress, but it just tells them what's safe to do within this environment, right? So we'll be launching that next month, I think.
Excellent. And Gonzalo, have you had any people sort of putting grades on AI to know data points and to know conclusions? Anything that sort of you feel that within your environment needs to be?
No, so cheating is like the big thing here, and not because we care about cheating. It's just because it can prevent you from learning, right? We care about learning outcomes. And we just want to make sure that the tools are used in a way so that people learn, right? And kind of direct them in the right usage and integrate and bring these tools to our learning methodology. It's not easy because it's going really fast, right? But it's something we're really invested in.
Excellent. Okay, guys. Hey, it's been a fantastic panel. I hope this has been a guide for you to tackle your next challenges. And please, a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.